Bienvenido nuevamente a un episodio más de Millionaire Mindset. Mi nombre es Ricardo Cifuentes y el día de hoy estoy muy contento porque vamos a tener un episodio muy interesante con una persona que se dedica a ser coach de negocios en Estados Unidos. Ella es CYNTHIA ELLIS de North Carolina y tiene más de 28 años de experiencia en temas de venta retail, en temas de la industria farmacéutica y en temas bancarios. Desde 2013 se está dedicando a asesorar a diferentes emprendedores a lo largo de la Unión Americana. Hoy va a ser una conversación interesante porque vamos a poder analizar esta diferencia entre el emprendimiento en Estados Unidos, el emprendimiento en México y Latinoamérica, pero también muchas de las similitudes que existen entre cada uno de ellos. Así que les doy la bienvenida a este episodio, espero lo disfruten y sobre todo que les aporte mucho para sus emprendimientos. Hi Cynthia, how are you doing today? Welcome to the Millionaire Mindset Podcast. It's a pleasure that you have here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ricardo. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you today.
Excellent. It's a pleasure. Well, first of all, I want to to ask you about the life of an entrepreneur, because I want to ask you what there is a difference between the United States entrepreneurs and the Latin American entrepreneurs. Exists similar challenge between with the entrepreneurs around the world. So I want to ask you about this. What do you think are the three main challenges that you think that exist for entrepreneurs?
Sure, I think that's a good question. If I had to speak on the top three challenges that I feel like all entrepreneurs were facing, I would definitely say access to capital would be one of the top
Hmm?
issues, is finding the right funding to run the businesses that they so passionately care about and the dreams that they have, often finding the funds to start the business, let alone run the business, is usually one of the primary issues that I would say that entrepreneurs face. Um, the second one, beyond financing, I would have to say is the economy and business environment. A lot of entrepreneurs start out with a huge amount of excitement and zeal, and they have a very narrow vision of what it takes to run a successful business, of what it takes to be a thriving entrepreneur who's disciplined and doesn't give up easily. And that energy is very high in the beginning, but the business environment sometimes tends to challenge that good feeling as they begin to face a lot of issues with actually understanding what it takes to make their dreams come true. And so what's happening in their business climate, I think, is a very huge issue. So I would say that's number two. And I think the third biggest issue with entrepreneurs is the battle that they face within themselves. Because a lot of entrepreneurs are, like I said, they have a certain amount of excitement, but we tend to get in our own way, especially when we're looking at breaking some of our own habits of maybe not believing in ourselves, procrastinating, not being disciplined enough to follow through with the dreams that we have. So, ourselves being one of our biggest enemies, the business environment, the external environment that we cannot control, and access to funding. I would have to say, with working with entrepreneurs from different economies, different backgrounds, it tends to be those top three giants that they're always facing? That's a great question.
I think that I'm totally agree with you because here in Latin America, first of all, the capital is one of the reasons that the entrepreneur says no, no yet, and it's very difficult for them to work with banks or to have a loan or to start with a good investment. And finally, the third step, the third challenge, I think that is a common challenge because it's well, in this podcast we took this challenge in each episode because it's very difficult for the people to try to do an a habit, and to grow out the business because maybe it's the time, maybe it's the issues, maybe it's the family, maybe it's the part of the people that says I have this dream, but I don't want to run for this dream. So it's amazing, and it's a good part to start this conversation, Cynthia, and the time. Talk about the time, because I think that if you are talking about this part of the habits and the time that here in Mexico, in Latin America, all the people wants to have an entrepreneur, and the people says here in Mexico, if I'm an employee, I have a schedule, I have an interest hour, and my day is just to work, to go to the job and work and blah 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 blah. And they say, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur, because if I am an entrepreneur, I will have more time. And I say always, no, this is not true. It's a lie, you know. So talking about the time, when you start in a business project, obviously, usually the entrepreneurs is always busy, you know, because they are looking for a new clients, selling of the clients, and looking for a new suppliers, you know, and a lot of time, usually they are even operating the business itself. So, what do you think is the right process to stay focused? You know, especially when you want to achieve a big goals. When the entrepreneurs we have big goals, and I want to expand around the world, and you know all of these stuff. So, what do you think that is the right process to follow to stay focused in the main goal?
I love this conversation, particularly because I had to overcome it myself. And I use the word overcome very seriously, because it did feel like it was somewhat of an internal battle when I was trying to learn how to do that. And so becoming an entrepreneur is something that is, like you said, a lot of individuals seek to do, right? And the one thing they say is, like you said, I'm going to have more time if I am my own boss. And I think that that is a somewhat twisted perception, because it's not as if you have more time. There will always be only 24 hours in a day. And I think sometimes what entrepreneurs feel like is that if I'm working for myself, I can push this easy button or wave a magic wand, and I'm going to be able to generate the income that I want without worrying about expenses that's going to take me less time to do. And that's not true, because you're going from employee to employer. And so now the buck stops with you, as we say. You are the decision maker. And what I found in coaching entrepreneurs now for over 11 years is that it is the prioritization and the decision making that helps them leverage their time appropriately. Yeah. And so when we have time on our hands, we're not looking at how much time we don't have to work, is how we choose to utilize the time that we have, and the decisions that we make that goes into that prioritization. And so the why behind, why are we doing what we're doing? And so we start looking at, what I tell my clients is to begin to structure out your day, because a lot of people do not have an internal structure, an internal dialogue that keeps them on a schedule, that keeps them goal oriented, that keeps their mind in a positive place. And so learning how to combat all of the white noise and to really zero and focus in on, this is the expectation that I need to meet. This is what I need to get done, because here is my main goal. Here is the steps that I'm going to take to achieve that. And here are the strategies that are going to help me get there. And it's a way of learning how to create a habit, is creating your own ecosystem, your own culture, if you will, because as they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So whatever culture you create for yourself, just like the culture that you worked in when you were in a 9-to-5, you're creating a culture for yourself. So you have to learn how to create a culture as your own individual employer, to say, here are the SMART goals that I want to meet. Here's how I'm going to meet them. And here's the pathway in which I'm going to do that. And very few people can immediately make that transition. It's very rare that a person actually jump on that and be able to do that. Most people, it takes a while to do that. But my encouragement would be to learn how to structure and prioritize the time that you have and make it most meaningful. Because as an entrepreneur, you have to make money. That's the goal. The goal in business is to make money. And so you want to take actionable steps that create income for you. And no matter how small those steps are, no matter how large they are, if it's a step, it's a step. And it's a step that you've got to take to generate revenue for your business. Those are the steps that you want to take. And not everything in your business is going to create a dollar, is going to make money for you. But you have to learn how to even cipher out those things that are not, so you can delegate those activities that still need to be done. So what I like to encourage some people to look at is what we call an Eisenhower matrix, right? It was created by one of the US presidents to help us prioritize the time that we have. So are we doing things that are demanding and actually need our attention? Are we doing things that are not urgent and not important and don't need our attention at all, things that we can delegate? Where are we spending the most of our time? And you have to really take the time out to either write down by the hour, by the minute, by the day, what are you doing for your business that's actually moving you forward? Or are you just doing things to keep you comfortable? Because comfort won't pay you.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I have two questions here because in all of this part that you're saying, in all of this structure, I want to ask you the first one is how we can select this as a small goal. You say you need to structure to start with the little goals or small goals. How the people can select, because I think that it is very difficult for the people to understand or to select some goals in particulars. We have a main goal in our head, obviously, and we want to achieve it. But what is your advice about this part? How we can select the small goals? And this is for one reason. I think that there's difference between the entrepreneur, male or female, because like in a woman, you have another responsibilities, like in the kids, the schools, the homeworks, and all of this stuff. So how you can select, and I know that you work a lot with the women entrepreneurs in North Carolina, so I think that it's an amazing thing, because no there's a lot of coach biz here in Mexico. So the question is how we can select these small goals in our daily or in a monthly or by year or by
So let's take a look at small goals and let's create a definition for small goals first. And thank you for recognizing my work with women. And really, I spotlight working with women here where I live because I can relate to them and I understand what they've been through and are going through to try to currently meet some of the needs that they have. So let's define large goals versus small goals. So a large goal is what I would tend to think of something that is more long-term. So when we're thinking about meeting our large goals, we're looking at something 9 months, 12 months or more down the road. Typically, the larger the goal that it is that we have, the further down the line, down the timeline, we move that marker, right? And so say even if you're setting one goal, if you're setting one main goal, we have to work backwards when we're thinking about entrepreneurship. And so when I say work backwards, what I mean is first we create that goal of where we want to be. Where do we want to be as an entrepreneur? Do we want to be making 6 figures a month? Are we just shooting for 5 figures a month? What is it that we want? What do we want to attain? And that's different for everybody because that's the definition of success, right? Where do I want to end up? What's my end game? So then what you do is you begin to take steps back from your end game, from your larger goal and say, okay, now what steps do I have to take in between time until I get to that marker down that timeline? What other markers are going to be on this timeline that are going to help me lead to the larger thing that I want? And so the further back you get on that timeline, the more you begin to realize there are things that I actively need to be doing every day to hit each marker. Those small things that you have to do each day are the things that I would say are the smaller goals that require your immediate attention. And so let's say we want a business that makes 6 figures a year. All right. If we want a business that makes 6 figures a year, we have to understand how much do I need to make per month to hit that 6 figure a year mark. And then we find that number and we say, okay, now that I know how much I have to make each month, how much do I have to make each week so I meet the monthly goal so I can meet the yearly goal? And so now we know how much we have to generate in income every week. Well, how do we generate that income? So our larger goal is still down that timeline on that marker, but now we've worked our way back to, this is what I know I need to generate each week in funding to reach that 6-figure mark at the end of the year. So maybe that means I need to be posting content consistently. Maybe I need to be doing lead generation and scheduling appointments with people who are interested in my business. Is that something I need to be doing every day so I can make sure these people are purchasing from me? Maybe I need some help doing that. So who can I bring on board with me to help knock out these smaller goals that I have right here? You know, how do I track my money so that I know I'm meeting those goals every week, every month, every year? So as you begin to work your way back down that timeline and closer to doing things that you need to do every day, you get a picture of what you need to be professionally doing to help you run that business. And it's a shame that we can't just live in a professional world and not think about life and kids and spouse and significant other, but that's not true. It's not true at all. So then we have to take into account, what are we going to prioritize? And we start looking at what needs to be done in the business on a daily basis. And we're looking at our personal lives at the same time. And I like to teach my clients to use the same concepts. You know, what type of relationship do you want? How do you achieve that relationship, whether it's with a significant other spouse or whether it's with your children? You know, are you active in church? What are you going to be, you know, committing to the religion that you serve, to the children that you have, maybe to the parents that you still have to take care of? So work your way back, and what is it going to take on a daily basis in order for you to be successful for that? And then you have to choose between what's more important at the time. And one of the most powerful things that we have as entrepreneurs is free will. We don't get to create more time. We don't have more time. As a matter of fact, I think when I went into full-time entrepreneurship, I understood that I had more responsibilities at home than I ever imagined. It's like I was prioritizing my job over different things that were going on at home because I wasn't looking at the importance that way. And so once you begin to function in entrepreneurship, I think you really start looking at, or it is really wise to look at, what is this business going to affect in my life? How can I effectively balance it so that I am happy? Because success doesn't always equate to happy. But I think that one of the things that we must be pursuing in entrepreneurship above all other things is our joy and our happiness, because that is really going to tell the tale of what is it that our heart is really chasing. You know, is it dollars? Is it love? You know, is it friendship? Is it religion and spirituality? But once you begin to choose those things, and that's the power of entrepreneurship, is understanding that you can become your own superhero. And so that's a long answer to what is a big goal? What is a small goal? How do I know how to choose? Think about the things in your life that are more important. And then find out where business fits into that. Where does entrepreneurship fit into that for you? If entrepreneurship is a large part of that bigger picture, then you want to give it more energy and more time to do the things day to day that's going to help you build what you're trying to build, to take care of your family, to make you happy, to impact your community. But I think that's how you choose. That's how you start.
That's amazing. I love this part of entrepreneurship is like an joint life and be happy. I think that is the final objective, the final goal that you have like entrepreneur. You start all of these things thinking, yeah, in one hand the money that is important, the income, but in the same time, parallel is the to be happy, to have I don't want to say a relaxed life, but yeah, it's just a life, a happier life, that you have the time to spend with the family, to have another kind of issues in your life. And so it's amazing. For me, it's amazing. So finally, you when we are talking about the how to select these goals, you recommend that to write on a list, to do the small goals in the first by day. It's a good recommendation for the people.
Yes. Definitely writing. Definitely writing. Write a lot, especially when you're a new entrepreneur. If you're in your first year, you should have, let me reach and grab something right here. You should have notebooks all around you, like everywhere, and they should be full of your thoughts and information. It is scientifically proven that when you are actually using your motor skills to write what's actually going on in your mind, it's almost as if you're speaking it, right? And so everything that's happening in your mind, whether it's good or bad, is not real. You know, your ideas are not real. They're not real. Your happiness is not real until you begin to experience it. The money is not real until it becomes tangible and you can actually utilize it for something. So your thoughts aren't going to go anywhere beyond your head if you don't get them out of there some way. So you need to speak it, but you definitely need to write it, because as you write, what you're literally doing is developing your plans. It's almost as if you're writing your business plans and you don't even know it yet. You don't even know it. You just, you're creatively writing down these ideas, things that you're thinking about, money that you think you want to make, people that you think you want to partner with. Write all of these things down. At the end of the year, every year, my business puts on something called a vision board party, where we sit down and create plans. We review our current year and then we create plans for the following year. And we're writing all of this down in an effort to make sure that we are actually chasing these dreams. Something I want to go back to something you said when you were answering my question a few minutes ago. The happiness is all about purpose, right? It's all about being purpose driven. And one thing that I've learned in entrepreneurship now, after I left my 9 to 5, is that I didn't realize that fulfillment was actually what I was chasing. And I think entrepreneurs are chasing fulfillment. There are some people out there chasing dollars, and God help you, because when you catch them, you won't be fulfilled. You're going to catch the dollar is going to do many things for you, but dollars don't actually fulfill you. It's the work that you're doing that impacts the quality of life of others that makes you fulfilled. It's the connections you make. Talking to you, Ricardo, has been, we've only been talking, I swear, I think for the last 2 weeks, and I feel like I've known you for longer already, just because we connected so well on some of these topics. And it's a fulfilling conversation, because you see the relationship going in other places. You see people's lives in Latin America benefiting from you imparting knowledge and sharing things with them and connecting with people and opening them to an audience that they didn't know existed. And the same thing on my end. My audience is going to be blessed by you in some way. So fulfillment is where it's at. But I would definitely say that if you're not writing those things down, you are doing yourself a disservice. So you constantly need to be writing, especially in your first year of business. It's going to get harder to do. And one additional thing that I teach my entrepreneurs is, when you're learning how to track all this and when you're writing this down, you would be surprised at what you're learning about yourself as you're recording all of this. Write down what you're doing every day. Just what are you doing at the beginning of the day? What are you going to do that day? Write it down. And as you begin to be active throughout that day, write down what you actually did. Did you achieve what you set out to by the end of the day? And then review it. Why didn't you do it? Or why did you? Why were you successful? Did something come up? Was there an emergency? And I think that you'll begin to see results after a while that will show you, okay, there's always an emergency and I never get to myself. Well, what's that telling you? It tells you you're not prioritizing the right things in life or in business. And what if you're constantly hitting your goals and you didn't even realize you were doing that well? Well, maybe that means you're too hard on yourself, because you're not celebrating the wins and you're not allowing yourself to push harder because you're comfortable with where you are. So you don't know what's happening if you don't record it. It's just like your money. You don't know what's happening with it if you're not tracking it. So you don't really understand what's going on in your life and the gravity of the choices you make until you start recording what's happening and you start looking back at it to see, oh my God, these are my results. What do I do now?
Yeah, it's amazing this part that you are saying, the power of the thoughts and the words. That I think that when you are talking yourself, inner yourself, and you are repeating every day all the things that you want to achieve at the final of the day or the final of the month or the final of the year, you are creating at the same time the future. You are creating the scenario in your future. So I think I'm so excited for this conversation and so clarify this part, because I think that it's not different. My goal with this podcast and my goal with interview people like you in the United States or in Europe or in China, is to do this bridge and show these people in Mexico and Latin America, the entrepreneurs here, that it's a similar challenge. It's very, very similar challenge between the people here and there. So we need to have the connection, and I love this part if you are sharing this knowledge and experience, because this is different. It's different for the people here in Mexico, and I really hope that people that is watching this podcast is using this advices, like the list, writing, the notes, all of this stuff. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you for this. And well, I want to ask you another thing, because it's very complicated for the people. This part, the first part is the time and select the goals, and I love this part of the advices. But how can entrepreneurs achieve a good business model? That's part I think that there is important, because I don't know if you have some steps to follow these steps to achieve a good business model, because the business model, I think, is in a very important part. And we are talking about the writing the goals. We are talking about the writing the steps that I will do in the future, and with my small goals and my large goals. So I think that we are planning, we are doing a business plan. So I don't know if you have some steps for the people about the business model to achieve a business model.
Yeah, I do. Well, first of all, I would say that a business model is a step forward from the planning, right? Because we go from planning stages and now we're talking about action. So when we say business model, we're talking about taking everything that we've planned and we've put together, and now let's put that to action. And for business, that means, how is my business going to make money? And how is my business going to consistently make money? And once you find the method, the methodology for how that's going to happen, that is what we call your business model, right? It's figuring out who you're going to sell to, how you're going to sell it, and how you will continue to get sales in that business over time. So those are the first things I want you to think about, is understand that's what a business model is figuring out how your business is going to continue to make money over time. We want to find the easiest ways. We want to eventually come to the easiest ways for us to do that will not take up a lot of our time, a lot of our resources, a lot of our energy. And so there are different types of business models out there. The first indicator to know what type of business model to set up is to understand who you're going to sell your products and services to. Who is going to be your customer? So this is how you start building a very well-structured business model. Who are you selling to? And what we call that is your target audience. So who is most interested in what you're selling? And a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand this in the beginning. They want to get rich. They want to sell what they have to everyone because they think that their idea and their product is the best thing in the world. Everybody's going to want it. And that is absolutely the furthest thing from the truth that I've ever experienced with any entrepreneur. So niche down. When we say niche down, what we mean is figure out what specific people in what specific areas can you reach that want to buy your products and services? Are men going to be more interested in what you're selling? Are women going to be more interested in what you're selling? What age groups are you selling something that children can play with? Are you selling toys? Are you going to be an author who writes books for adults that will mainly capture the attention of married couples? Or what if you're writing books for singles? What if you are a business coach like me and you're looking for people that are starting businesses? And I'll use myself as a great example to kind of break it down for you. So as a business coach, when I first started, I was working with doctors because I'd worked in healthcare for about 15 years. So I understood healthcare and I was helping doctors open their clinics, train their staff, run great organizations, right? Well, I didn't want to continue to work with doctors my entire life because it wasn't fulfilling to me. Like I made good money, but I wasn't entirely happy. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Who am I going to be helping? I know how to start businesses, but what kind of businesses? And so I landed on, I like helping people get started because I understand how difficult it was for me to get started. And if I can make that easier for someone so they can help feed their family and make their community a better place, those are the people that I want to help. So it came back to my purpose, but follow me because I'm getting to the business model. And so understanding that those were the people that I wanted to help, this was not easy. And it took me some years to come to this conclusion. But I finally started understanding, okay, people who are going to start businesses are typically people who do not have a lot of money to pour into it. So I'm looking for a demographic of working class people who are looking to do something different with their lives to improve their lives, and they have a business idea. Now, who is that? It's typically not anyone 60-year-old or above. It's typically not anybody under the years of 20 or under, 20 or younger. So it's somewhere between the ages of maybe 25 and 46 for people who are starting businesses. And so I worked my way into, this is what I want to do. Now I know who I want to help. So find that target audience. Who is it that you want to help? Who is it that's going to need what you have? And then the last thing with that business model is, now where do you find them? How do you get your product or service in front of them? Are they on social media? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Is that demographic? Are they on TikTok? So where exactly do you find them? Are they not on social media at all? And you have to figure out how to get into your community to find these people. And sometimes that happens. And you decide, okay, here's who I want to serve. Here's my product or service. Here's where they are, and here's how I reach them. Now, how do I sell my product to them? Am I selling it online? Am I going to have a brick and mortar store where I've got a location where they can walk into, or e-commerce? Am I going to do drop shipping? How am I going to get my product to them? And so once you are able to answer those questions, who is my target audience? What is my niche? What am I serving? What am I helping people? What am I selling? Where can I find them? And how can I sell my product to them? That's building a really strong business model. So for me, as a business coach, what I found in my conclusion was, okay, I want to reach people who are just starting new businesses. They are this age group. They are on these social media platforms. I'm best by selling them by using a website and by building community online and building relationships with people so they learn who I am and they know what it is that I do, and they know that they can trust my brand to deliver that. So that turned out to be my business model. And I use that. I could do subscriptions with it. You could subscribe to my Facebook group. You can subscribe to my blog and get information about how to start a business. You can subscribe to my YouTube page. Those are different ways that my business can make money that is still delivering value to my customers. And then, of course, if you work with me in coaching, that's a different model. There's group coaching. I can coach people together as a group, or I can work with you one-on-one. Those are two different business models. So as you can see, I'm performing the same service, but I'm making money in different ways when I'm using my business. So you structure different models in your business, different ways to reach the people that you want to sell your products and services to. And it takes some thought. It takes some thought. It takes that planning that we talked about. And it really takes someone with expertise to usually help you figure that out. So if you're not a business savvy person, that can be very overwhelming for you. So it's great to have a mentor, someone you could talk to that's business savvy. Coaches like myself, a lot of us give free consultations, which I highly, highly encourage people to take advantage of. So anywhere where you can get free information that's relevant and that's accurate, take advantage of that, because this is a lot to take on when you're a new entrepreneur. So don't go it alone. Pull in a network and learn how to form a business model with the right people by your side.
It makes sense. And I love this part that don't go alone. Don't go alone. I'm writing. I'm writing this because this is very important. Don't go alone when you are starting a business. And this part that you say in the planning and the audience, it's so very important to understand your audience and the people that is you're selling your product or your service. And I think that this is an amazing part. And I think that this part of the having a different model, a business model for the different services of or the different products that you have or you're selling, I think that is a very good advice for all the people that is watching this video. It's very important to have a different business models. Maybe it's the same company, maybe it's the same brand, but you need to have a different business model for different audience. And with this, in the social media that is my specialized, you need to have a different content, and the relevance and the importance of the content is very, very necessary for to grow up the business, to have more sales, to have more people around this. And I love this part of you're doing with the community. You know, I love this part of the groups and the community because I think it's very important. And for the other side, I think that this part of to offer a free consulting or offer tips in the group in your social media, I think that's an amazing thing, because there's a lot of people that don't know how can start, you know, and all of this information. And for this reason, I said we need to talk with the CYNTHIA Ellis, because she has a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that we need to put in front of the people. If it means in front of the mobile phone, that's nice. No, I don't have any problem for that. And I think that is very, very value with this information, CYNTHIA.
Yes, thank you, Ricardo. You know, I would add to that you are 100% correct. The more we diversify, the better off we leave ourselves. We never want to do what we say is put all our eggs in one basket, right? So diversification is something that keeps us flexible, and it also keeps doors of opportunity for us open as entrepreneurs. So we never want to just have one offer or even two offers. What I've always had, I seek business coaches myself, and I've been doing this for over 11 years, and I still have a business coach that I talk to because I want to continue to grow. And there are people who will always be further along than me that I can learn from. So I try to keep myself teachable and keep myself open. And one of the strongest things that I had a business coach teach me was when you are offering one thing to someone, it's very unlikely that they're going to purchase unless they're just dead set on it. If you're offering two things, then you create a dilemma for people, because then they're giving themselves an alternative. But if you offer three things to a person, if you offer three things to an individual, that will often lead to someone feeling that they were empowered because now they have options. And so what we do is we take our customers on a customer journey that leads them onto what we call a value ladder. Mm-hmm. And so some people need free information. They're just starting. They just need a little bit. They need a checklist. They need to do A, B, C, D. Some people are there. Well, some people need a digital product that's maybe $4 or $5 that can teach them a little bit more because they've done the checklist, but now they don't know where else to go. But then what about those people who, okay, I know what to do. I've got the checklist. Now I'm ready to get some skin in the game. And then there's a different program available for them. If you can do this with any business, you think about if you're selling candy, you give, if you're making desserts, you want to give a free sample so that they taste it, right? They taste it. Okay, they love it. Oh my gosh, I gotta have more. So then they buy a candy bar. Well, they love it so much. Maybe you got a bakery. I need you to bake my child's birthday cake for me. And then maybe you have something else, maybe they can of desserts for you. So you can use that concept with any business. So take that customer on a journey through your value ladder. The longer that customer works with you, the higher what we call their customer lifetime value. And so it's more likely that a person who has purchased from you before will definitely purchase from you again. There's a 75% to 90% chance that a customer who's already purchased with you will buy from you again. It's much easier to get a resale than it is to get a person to buy from you the first time.
It makes sense. When you have a customer, it's easier that you are reselling that the first part, the first attention. For this reason, this business plan, to know your audience, to know your target, and to have the steps to attack them, it's very important. So I have the last question for you, Cynthia, because I love this part. But this question, I think that it's a special question because I want to ask you about your secret, What is your secret recommendation for the success to the entrepreneurs? Your secret recommendation, something that you said, this is my last recommendation for all the entrepreneurs around the world.
For entrepreneurs, my secret recipe, I would say, is to don't wait to be rescued. Don't wait on a hero. Don't wait to be rescued. I think we underestimate our own ability to think for ourselves, to make good decisions. A lot of times it comes from, I have a bad history. I wasn't raised in business. I don't know how to do this entrepreneurship thing. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can make the right connections. I don't know if I'll make enough money. You have the ability to do all of it. You are the superhero that you've been looking for. You are the magnificent person that you envision in your mind. And sometimes it seems like that person is so far away, and that's not who we see when we're looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. But if I had to tell you my secret is that I understand that I have free will. And on any given day, I get to make the decision of whether I'm going to do the things that are going to help me grow in life and move me forward and make my business into something magnificent that will become a legacy for my children. Or I can sit on my couch and either way, I have the power to decide. And understanding how much power I actually had over my own life and not waiting on circumstances or situations to make the decision for how I was going to react. I've made up in my mind that I get to make the decision for whatever that response is going to be. It will be something that is good for me and my future, the future of my marriage, the future of my family. So that's my secret recipe, is understanding my worth and knowing the power that I possess and trusting in that and moving forward in that with confidence.
I love it. I love it. I love this part of don't go alone, don't wait for rescue. You are a superhero. I love all of these parts because it's necessary for people to understand that they can do the things if they are having a schedule, if they are time to do these things, if they are prioritizing the goals. I think that it's a very good advice, Cynthia. Thanks for that. And finally, Cynthia, how can the people contact with you?
I am on all major social media channels. My handle is at CELLISMGMT, CELLISMGMT. Any major major social media channel you'll find me on. So TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you'll find me on all of those channels. My website is the same as the handle, is CELLISMGMT.com. I am very accessible. I'm very reachable, and I love to help people. I love to help people improve their lives, the state of their communities and their economic structure. So I'm not too far out of reach. So if you need me, just find me on either social media or visit my website, and I'd be happy to talk with you, work with you, and let's see what kind of dreams you have.
If you are living in the United States and you want to start a business, believe me, the Cynthia is your best option. So all of the social media of Cynthia, it's appearing in this podcast here, and we will put in the description of this video your social contact to the personal one-by-one advice. Okay, Cynthia?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ricardo. You are amazing. And I really, really support the mission and the things that the vision that you have for your business and for the people's lives that you are touching. I respect that so much. And I really honor what you're doing. And thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you again for participating in this podcast, in this episode. And I hope see you soon in another episode. Are you agree?
Sounds great. I totally agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. My name is Ricardosifuentes, and I see you soon in the next episode of the Millionaire Mindset. See ya.